Hey, it's Jarl of G&B Fitness. Today's video we're looking at advanced hip mobility exercises. And the reason we're calling them advanced is because you can see that the positions themselves, you have to have a decent level of flexibility already. So if you're a beginner, you're just starting out, I wouldn't recommend doing these. You have to keep yourself safe. You have to keep yourself doing things progressively. But if you know that you already have some good flexibility, this can take you to the next level. This is the elevated adductor stretch, hip adductors, the inner thigh. The benefit of this is when you have your outstretched leg elevated, is you are able to keep your upper body flat. You can use your hands on the ground to keep you in a good position. Remember to roll your hip inwards so your toes are facing what direction you're facing. And you are dynamically contracting up and down using your thigh muscles to lift you up and side to side. And after a few repetitions of that, you settle into the stretch and hold 30 seconds to a minute. This is another variation, and so here you'll see that inside of my knee is on the ground directly while the outstretched leg is elevated. The same sort of positioning as the previous one, except it's a little bit more stretch for both sides of your hip adductors. Next up, the elevated front foot lunge. So your front foot's up on the bench, your outstretched back leg, you're working on your hip flexors of that leg, and in the front are the small rotators and hip extensors, glutes, piriformis, obturators. Again, look at a really good straight back. Have to have a good control in and out of the position. If you're able to, you can play with dropping your shoulder down, down below the level of that front knee. But again, only if you are under control and have the capability to do that. This is an elevated pigeon. Pigeon is a term for the yoga position. So here, very obviously, a good deep hip rotator stretch and piriformis, obturators, and glutes. You'll notice that I am positioning myself in line with the knee. So I'm shifting my chest over to be in line with that front knee, and then working on going up and down. But that's using my hip rotators to do that as well. So I'm pushing with my back foot and my hands, but also using those muscles to contract into and out of position. Here we have the elevated rear foot lunge. This emphasis is more on hip flexors versus the rectus fem, which also extends the knee. If you were doing that, then you would do more of what people call the couch stretch, where your back knee is bent fully. Here I'm working more on it in the lunge position, so this is more of a hip flexor stretch. So you notice that I have a couple of different variations here. I can rotate my torso away from it, and that helps to improve that kind of line and that position. Also too, when you find your position, you can see that there's a bit of a diagonal there as I place my knee down and then lift my hand up to side bend. When I do that, that also improves that line from your torso down through into the hip flexors. It's actually a good position to work on that totality of from lats to thoracolumbar fascia to QL down into the hip flexor. Now we're into this elevated side squat. So the difference between this and the adductor stretch is my toes are pointing upward, and that means this is more of a hamstrings and glutes stretch. Notice I'm playing with rotating my foot in and out just to get that positioning, squatting up and down, getting chest upright, torso upright, puts all of the stretch in the right place. Next, I'm rotating my torso, and I'm rotating either toward the outstretched leg and then side bending away, or I'm going to rotate away from the outstretched leg and side bend towards. When you do that, you're working on quadratus lumborum on both sides. You're also getting that, again, that thoracolumbar fascia interconnection. That's sort of like an X between your hips and your low back. This is a really nice movement for those of you looking at opening low back and the hip at the same time. Improves your squatting, improves kicking, improves all of those dynamics.
So that was our advanced hip mobility exercise routine, and I hope you got something out of it. You can see that we emphasize control, emphasize relaxing into the position when you're there, and most of all, safety. So really only perform this when you know you're able to do it. If you need something a little bit different, feel free to check out our other videos. We have our original hip mobility routine, we have a squat video. Just check it out there.